she went to high school at Marcellus.
Yeah.
And then went to college at Oswego.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's right, man.
Got it.
Yeah, man. All right. We're live.
Cool.
Wow. How about that?
Nice.
Yeah, just pull this thing
how
right
close
up.
So
I think you got to be like pretty close. I really don't know. I'm no audio freaking geek.
Okay.
So like,
all right.
The boom arm thing seems like legit enough to me. I'm not.
Yeah. Where the hell did you even get these mics?
Dude, this was Amazon, $35 a pop.
Nice.
Table was Craigslist. It's actually a really nice table.
Nice. Yeah.
Like $1,500 Ethan Allen table.
Yeah.
$100. Just
nice
I wanted to do this, so
2-bedroom apartment in general too, man.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
We lived in another place in Beeville before, and it was just a cave.
Really?
It was a cave.
Yeah.
It sucked. There's windows on like one side of the entire place. It was brutal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I moved downtown last year. Ours was pretty nice. We lived in like a loft. It's kind of expensive, but
yeah.
It's like with me and my roommate. We've been friends since high school. It's like $1,350 total.
That's not bad though.
No, it's not horrible. We got 2 bathrooms, so
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah. I mean,
You like being downtown?
I do a lot. I don't think he really cares. Like we probably would have lived on tip.
Yeah.
But it's so convenient for me to get to the hospital. I'm there all the time. So
how much time do you spend there a week?
So now a lot, like probably like close to like 45 hours, 50 hours a week.
Dude, that's a full-time job.
Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, today was a pretty light day. Like I got there at like 7 and I was out by like 5:30.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I just stopped home real quick, and then it wasn't too bad, but
right.
Like other days, some days you'll get there at like 6 a.m. You won't leave till like 7 or 8. Yeah.
So it's just about like the demand of the day.
Yeah, it's basically like so being in medical school is like whatever.
Yeah, tell me, because I'm not in that world.
It's basically
nothing.
It's you are responsible for your patients, but at the same time responsible for helping out whoever's like in your boss essentially.
Yeah.
So like you can't be like, hey, I'm gonna go home when your work's done. Like if your boss still has work, then you still have work.
So you're kind of just like on hand.
Yeah.
When your own stuff's taken care of.
Like like honestly, there's an argument to be said like just like do steady work all day as opposed to like trying to like rush and get all your work done because like more work will find you.
Yeah.
But nonetheless.
That's wild. How'd you get into that?
Med school?
Yeah. Like
a lot of work.
have you always wanted to do that or?
No, definitely not. I mean,
because like I don't know. I did 4 years at Oswego, and that was like for me too much. Like I couldn't like I said, I wasn't into accounting, but you must be like into it. I mean, it's a commitment. Like I couldn't do one extra year for the CPA.
Yeah. So
just like I have a lot of appreciation for that shit.
Mean,
it's like
it's funny that you say that because like because I do a lot of like advice for like pre-meds and high school students and stuff. Like I go to West Jenny a lot and I'll talk like to like the career center people, like,
that's cool.
Like, people that are like interested in like going to college as pre-med and like what that looks like because like everyone knows the term pre-med, but no one actually really knows what that actually means.
What it entails.
So I'll talk about that every once in a while and people will ask like, oh, did you always know that you wanted to be a doctor? Like, are your parents doctors? And like the answer is always no.
Right.
I think for me, I didn't actually really excel in science at all. Like I was actually more of a numbers guy, and I just found science a little bit more interesting in college, and I think it challenged me a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I agree with you in that I probably don't have the same. I didn't have when I was like 17 or 18, 19, 20 the stamina that I have now.
I bet.
So like the people that apply to medical school might apply like years down the road. Like they go through all this work. They do master's degrees, research, whatever they need to do to get to being a physician because it's absolutely what they want to do with their life. For me, it was like I kind of found medicine through liking science, and it was more just I want to do healthcare in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. So I applied to medical school because I was doing well, and I was like, well, if I don't get into medical school, then I'll apply to PA school or nursing school. And for me, it didn't matter what the title was, And now that I'm going through it, I have much more stamina than I used to because you build it. I mean, it's part of growing up, and you acquire a better work ethic, I suppose. Right. But yeah, it's definitely been long. 7 years of school and going on 8 and 4 more after this. So
4 more.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. I'm like between a few things. So 4 is probably what I'm gonna.
So 12 total.
Yeah, it could be more, but I think I'm probably gonna choose fields that I'll do a 4-year residency. So
yeah.
I mean, it's residency is what it is. You're making money at least. So,
right. So what you're doing now is that clinicals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you taking classes too?
Yeah. So how it works is, so like, I guess the best way to break it down is like medical school itself is usually set up as like 2 years of like preclinical, like, which is similar to undergrad, except you're learning like medicine, obviously.
Yeah.
And then your 3rd and 4th year is all clinical. So you take tests at the end of each rotation that you do, but you don't have lectures. Like you might every once in a while have like a conference or something, but you don't.
No like class to be at.
No, yeah. No, I can probably not sit through a lecture anymore.
I can't imagine after 45 hours of being like, on the job. Damn.
But even like, I mean, imagine like yourself going back to like college for like a minute, like having to sit through like freshman year lectures. Dude, like you just can't do it anymore.
No way.
Yeah,
no
it's
way.
Just not gonna happen.
Got more stamina, but not for that shit.
Yeah, no, not for sitting in a lecture with like 100 people, but yeah, or UB being like 400 people, which is insane.
You went to UB?
Yeah.
Okay.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Do you know a good buddy of mine went to UB, Lee Desuri and Brandon Mintz?
No.
They're both in.
What were they?
Business.
Yeah. No.
Doesn't cross at all.
Our paths would not. My roommates, maybe.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I knew anybody else at UB. Oh, Alex Francic. He was in chemistry, I think.
Maybe then.
He wrestled and then he quit so he could party.
Love that.
Yeah. Got his priorities in line.
Yeah.
Funny guy.
UB was a good time. I liked living in Buffalo a lot.
Yeah.
It's a really fun city. It's part of like, it's actually kind of like how, like the food thing actually kind of got started was because I was really, really into the Buffalo food scene.
Yeah?
Yeah. They have a really,
Did you start it there then?
I did. With the intent of doing it in central New York. I was there between my first year and second year of medical school, living with my roommates from college because I was at Roswell, which is a research cancer institute.
Okay.
I was only going to be there for like 3 weeks. So I just texted one of my roommates, said, hey, can I crash on your couch for like the few weeks that I'm here? He said, sure. So, like when I was there, he was, asking me, and like his friends were always asking, like, remember when we used to take me to like all those like cool places and stuff? Like we'd go to cool bars and, whatever. Like, did you ever write any of that stuff down? I'm like, no, I remember it. Yeah. So then he like made him a list, because he like, since I moved, like he never knew where to go because he's helpless. And
got it all down.
No, I remember it. And the point being was that, I enjoyed doing that. And so we were out, I think we were out at this, gastropub called Griffin Gastropub, which is like one of our favorite spots to go when we were in college. Like I think they had like 89 beers on tap, like kind of similar style to like HopSpot, but cool like before its time, like HopSpot exists up in Watertown, and it just came downtown. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So they're a newer one. And I know the co-owner there very well, and I love HopSpot. I was just there last night. It's one of my favorite pubs or whatever you want to call it, restaurants in Syracuse. I'm a big beer guy, so
beer.
Oh yeah. So
stouts or IPAs
and sours, man.
Oh yeah, sours. Okay.
Yeah. I was actually just ripping or busting their balls rather the other day because I was there. They did like a stout takeover for Black Friday, so they had like 18 stouts on tap. And I'm like, who the hell needs 18 stouts? But nonetheless, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, seriously.
So, we went to a few breweries when we were in Buffalo, and I, just started taking some pictures, and my roommates appreciated it. My friends appreciated it because they knew that I always would take either my girlfriend at the time or, my friends or whoever, to like, just cool places because I liked finding new places and I wasn't afraid to give them a try. And so then when I moved back to Syracuse, just a few weeks later, just kind of continued on the same thing. I had already been doing this, I just wasn't really documenting it. I guess is the big difference, and it really just kind of catapulted it. It took off. That was summer of 2018, and I kind of made it like a mission to myself to just really dive into Syracuse itself. Yeah. Because one thing, we were talking earlier, it's one thing to like grow up here. I grew up right down the road, but when you're growing up in the suburbs, or when you're like 16, 17, when you get your license, like halfway through high school, you're really not leaving the actual area that you grow up in. I wasn't going downtown. I think I went downtown a few times for hockey practice, or something like that. We play at the On Center. We go out to Beeville every once in a while, but besides that, like I was not exploring Syracuse at all. And so when I decided to come here for medical school, I was like, I really want to make a mission to at least get to know the city, so I'm not just, so to speak, just, talking what I think I know about it,
Dude, so that's cool. You take a lot of good looking food pictures.
Yeah.
Is it just like a great excuse to go out? Like,
so
like do you have a quota? Like, I got to go to 2 places a week?
So it depends. So I do try to get out to one new place once every 2 weeks, I should say. New place. Okay. Yeah. Doesn't always work out that way. Yeah. So part of it is like you're right. It's a great gathering for people. So it's a great way to get friends that, I go to medical school. A lot of people are stressed. A lot of people don't want to necessarily go out drinking or go out, go out. Yeah. So food has always been like a really good excuse to just been like, hey, like let's go try out this new restaurant. Yeah. Like I saw it looks pretty good. I looked at the menu. Let's go give it a try. And I find that that's like a good way to just like get people together, even if it's just for like an hour or two. Mm-hmm. And for me, like I love, there's nothing better than like, either recommending a place or having people come with me and, we all just have a good time. It's just really fulfilling for me. But yeah, no, it was, I just the pictures started, and I think that's I'm not a photographer by any means. I think that's the bottom line. Is it was supposed to be.
You're not a tech geek too.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm really not.
You're not a photography geek. I'm not audio geek.
And I'm not.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm not a. I wasn't like a big Instagram person, like I wasn't really like different from you, who does a lot with digital marketing and social media. I didn't really have that much experience with Instagram, Facebook, anything.
I can tell you right now, just side note from working in it, I don't use it myself personally, hardly at all.
Right. So, and I'm learning, but it has been really something that is just, like I said, it's been a documentation of kind of. It's like anything, like any sort of photo is like, you look back at it and you're like, oh, I remember I was there with this person,
Yeah,
so
remember the stories.
Yeah. So it's really, that part's cool, So, yeah.
It is. No, there's a lot of new places in Syracuse, I feel like now.
Yeah.
Like a lot of places.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because, my girlfriend, like I said, grew up here. And anytime I meet like her friends or I'm out with her friends or whatever, they're always like, oh, Syracuse, there's nothing to do. And it's like, dude, I grew up in Binghamton. Right. I went to school in Oswego. Right. Syracuse is popping. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, like, no. I know it's not New York City, but come on. It's something. You gotta take it for what it is. And there's a lot of cool places.
There is. And they've done a really great job in the last few years. Really just, you can segment it into like microbreweries, have kind of exploded. There wasn't, let's go west to east, 315 breweries here in Camillus, or Warner's technically, that didn't exist, a decade ago. Middle Ages maybe existed, but the tap room was nothing what it is now. Yeah, so this amazing, yeah. Have you been down there before?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
I love their recess.
Great brewery. Yeah, I'm a big single batch guy because IPAs.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
The new ones with Kase ramen, which is really good. You haven't seen that yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, single batch 39. Middle Ages. Yeah, it's a good one.
I've been off the beer train as of late. I just haven't been drinking as much.
Well, that's good.
Well, sometimes it's good. But I'm kind of itching for a stout. Like it's funny because I've been an IPA drinker my entire life until like a year ago. And for some reason, I don't know, I had too many too fast.
Oh, they're heavy.
And that can be a problem.
But
I don't know. I just got on stouts and I haven't gotten off them much. I've had an ale here and there.
Yeah.
But
I
don't know.
Well, Middle Ages got some good stouts. Like I said, HopSpot's got some good ones on tap right now. Evergreen always has good ones too.
Okay.
Have you been down there before?
I haven't been to Evergreen.
Evergreen Hanover Square. It's a great beer bar. Yeah. Very kind of similar to HopSpot, but more beer bar and less like like they don't have a lot of taps. You know, they're a little bit more closely related with Now and Later, but with food.
Oh, okay.
You know, because they have a lot of cans.
It's a sweet place.
It is, yeah. I mean, like, so I end up going to a lot of beer bars. That's usually where I try to meet people. You know, if they want to like hang out, I'm like, let's go to Evergreen or Now and Later, or you know, I live down in Franklin Square now, so I don't know if you've been to Buried Acorn Brewery.
I have.
Yeah, so that's another one. They don't really have that many stouts on tap, though. I don't think
they had one when I was there.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of it. Yeah. I can't do those, like, 11-12% beers.
Sure.
Like,
yeah. It's a lot.
At least the stouts.
Yeah,
Some of the IPAs are right, but
yeah.
like Three Philosophers by Dogfish Head.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's more just boozy tasting, but
yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of good places.
There
Full Bore up in
Full Bore,
Cicero.
yes.
Have you heard their Sour Man?
I actually have not. I haven't been up there yet.
Okay.
I just haven't gotten up there.
Dude, add that to your list of places.
Full Bore Sour, you said?
They have a beer called Sour Man IPA.
Sour Man IPA.
And it was a year ago we were there, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Hopefully they still have it. It was phenomenal.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
I've heard great things about Full Bore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to get up there.
Dude, how do you like stay in shape? Drinking all this beer and eating all this food. Like, honestly, you run this Instagram page where you got all this food on it. Like,
I go to the gym a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think you have to. Well, probably keep yourself sane with med school, too.
And you know what? For me, like I said, you know, I've kind of alluded to it. I've danced around it. You know, a lot of the food that I post, I do either purchase myself or, you know, maybe it's compensated by the restaurant that I'm eating at.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but I do tend to share a lot of the food. So it's not, you know, I'm not eating everything that I post. I am trying everything that I post. That's kind of something I've tried to stick by, you know, because otherwise
you gotta be real. You gotta keep it real.
I try to be like a little bit like Guy Fieri, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, you know, it's like one or even like Barstool.
You just gotta know, gotta experience it for yourself.
Right, exactly. So, but no, I do get that a lot, especially from my friends. We were just out, like I said, last night, and they were like, I don't understand, like, you know, how do you stay in shape? And I was like, well,
just
you
don't
know,
eat it all, man.
Yeah, that, you know, and I do eat pretty healthily outside of the food Instagram. Yeah, like I have like green drinks and like, like I blend up like green beans and kale and like spinach.
Not
and,
green beans, but kale and spinach.
Yeah, with like protein powder, and like I'll have that as like a meal, and like I'll do salads all the time.
Okay.
So I eat a lot of greens on the outside. Lean. Yeah, and I've been doing cardio since like I stopped playing hockey probably.
Oh,
yeah. I was like got a little chubby like the freshman year, you know.
Those
so
sprints will keep you in shape, man.
Yeah.
A shift is a sprint.
Yeah. So then I just started doing a lot of cardio, doing, you know, core, arms when I can, and that kind of stuff.
Has your approach to like fitness and diet and everything changed since you've been in med school? Have you learned much nutritionally about med school?
Yeah. I pay attention a lot to nutrition because it's been a big part of my life. Yeah. For me, I think I've learned more about what it actually means to be healthy and not necessarily like what everyone thinks it means to be healthy from medical school. I think I've learned more about wellness, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know, like
100%.
What it means to be well, what it means to have mental wellness, what it means to have physical wellness. And I think that's kind of where I strive towards, you know. I think everyone thinks, you know, healthy nutrition, like wellness, like let me just cut out calories, let me diet, you know.
Yeah.
And I think there's definitely way more to it. You know, I was an overweight child growing up until like probably like late middle school, you know, and I became like a big like health nut because of that. I just kind of same thing that we were talking about earlier with like my curiosity for science. I had like this curiosity for nutrition and health.
Right.
And, you know, I kind of just took it upon myself to kind of motivate myself to learn about nutrition, how it affects us, how it affects people.
Right.
And I was able to lose like a lot of weight at that time, and it significantly, I think, at least in my opinion, changed the course of where my life was then headed. Yeah. Because then it starts to affect who you physically are, but also how you think about yourself and how you act with others. And, you know, I think it definitely put me on a trajectory to think more about, you know, just what I wanted out of life and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, it probably makes you, probably. I had a similar experience. Like in school, I got a little overweight, and then I was like, all right, I got to like learn about this shit.
Sure.
We have the lovely information superhighway now.
Yeah.
So we can learn all this shit.
Exactly.
Like, without having to read a ton of books. And like, it's, it changes like the course of your whole life and the way you think about things.
It does.
And like you're your meat vehicle. You got to take care of your meat vehicle, you know?
Yeah, you do.
You're stuck with it.
Yeah.
And you're going to be fucking miserable if you don't.
And I think there's so I'm a big as a soon to be physician, like I always talk about,
that's pretty
like,
damn official, by the way.
I suppose
that's pretty cool to say.
I've done my primary care rotations. I've done family medicine, which is I did out in Liverpool. I did pediatrics, which I did out in Baldwinsville.
Okay.
And I did medicine actually here at Community for my outpatient. And you know, when I talk, I have more time than a lot of attendings for the most part, so I tend to spend more time talking about wellness with my patients as appropriately so.
Absolutely.
And sometimes they bring it up, sometimes I bring it up, you know, whether that be smoking cessation, whether that be like alcohol like reduction, you know, in any way, shape, or form. But I do always recommend walking. And I think that's like a big thing that people, you know, I recommend it to my family, I recommend it to my friends, because I think it's so easy and such a really simple thing that a lot of people can do. And it really is proven to, you know, improve your longevity of your life in multiple different avenues of your health, like cardiovascular, neurovascular, respiratory. You know, it's really not something that should be weighed down. You know, it's really, really important, and I think it's really easy. You know, so that's something I usually talk about when we talk about wellness.
It is really easy. My girlfriend, who you're probably hearing, like, milling around, she introduced me. I'd never read about them before, like the blue zones. You probably know about blue zones.
No, actually, I don't.
They're like the places on Earth where longevity, like, of humans is longest.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Like Okinawa, Japan, is one of the longest places, and like one of the themes. You know, obviously no fucking cell phones and like no Uber Eats.
Sure.
But, you know, they have to work for their food, and they're getting all this exercise consistently.
Yeah.
And they're doing all the things you're talking about right now, like as a soon-to-be physician.
Yeah, as a soon-to-be.
And so, like, it's just, I don't know, it's 100% true. Like, you gotta take care of yourself and get that exercise in, and it really is freaking easy. And also super ironic, my girlfriend works at SU in the Learner Center.
Oh, nice.
It's a privately, do you know what, you're familiar with it?
I've probably heard of it. Is it?
It's a public health research. She's listening right now, and she's like, "You're screwing it up." No, it's a public health research like thing. And there's a few people there. It's endowed by this guy Sid Lerner, but the whole thing, they do these campaigns. They promote these campaigns. Healthy Monday campaigns. Okay. Monday Mile, Meatless Monday, Mindfulness Monday. These different things. Different initiatives. And she's been working on like implementing these Monday Mile routes throughout Syracuse and like Madison County.
That's awesome.
Branching out to, just to get people to walk. And I'm actually gonna do an interview for their promotion. Oh, great! With this woman out in Madison County who lost like 50 pounds or something. Wow! And one of the biggest things she talked about was how like she just walked, and she walks the Monday Mile route that's in her town. Yeah. And like it just getting out there and doing something like it starts that positivity spiral. It does. Like you hear about that, you know, you spiral down negatively, you spiral up positively. Yeah, it does. It gets you going. It does. Walking, and I mean, like, releases endorphins if you want to talk about the biochemical, you know, aspect of it, but you know, it is, you know, and it's something that's not eating, which I think people also forget, because when you're doing that, you're also not eating. You know, and I think it's not even about appetite suppression. Like, we don't even need to talk about that. We can just talk about if you spend an hour when you get home or after you know, instead of going to lunch, you know, if you do that instead, you'll be surprised by how much you don't realize that you're not hungry. Yeah. If that makes sense, you know. 100% does. And it's really interesting to me because I feel like, you know, working at home. Sure. Kind of sucks sometimes because you know, you just, the fridge is right there. Sure. Yeah. So like you eat out of boredom, right? Yeah. So I feel like when you're exercising, to your point, like you're not bored. Yeah. Either. Like, I don't know. It's crazy, and I feel like it also, when I exercise personally, like it makes me want to eat better. Like, absolutely. I can't let this effort go to waste. No, good spirits. Yeah. Gotta get my protein. No, I think a lot of people feel that way. No, I absolutely agree. I think that's how a lot of people have that mentality, and vice versa. You know, when they aren't exercising, they're like, well, what's the point? You know, like, and I think, you know, if we want to, you know, translate that back to medical school, I think a lot of my classmates, or people, I shouldn't even say my classmates, people in medical school might feel similar, or any stressful careers, or you know, law school, whatever, you know, where they like,
are adjusting their schedule because they're stressed and they don't have time to go to the gym like they used to, and then they adjust their diet because they need something to fuel them in that time to do whatever they need to do. And I think it's really it's sad because, you know, it changes the way you then feel about yourself and then how you interact with other people. And I have this really awesome mentor at Upstate. He's one of Central New York's like really fantastic family physicians, Dr. Kushal Nanavati, and he always talks about mindfulness. And I would be surprised if he wasn't involved in what you were just alluding to that your girlfriend's a part of, because he is all over the place with talking about mindfulness. Yeah, it's like his mission is to just talk about how to be well, how to be spiritually well, how to be mentally well. Yeah. And he does a great job. He's a great speaker. And he I would be surprised if he hasn't been involved in SU in some way, shape, or form to talk about mindfulness.
I mean,
yeah,
if that'd be great. Like, if he wants to, I'm sure she'd love to talk to you about it. Just because I don't know. It's something that needs to get out there more, and I feel like it is getting out there more.
It is,
like,
but to a certain subtype of I shouldn't say subtype, I should say specific type of population. You know, I feel like there's a lot of lay people that aren't hearing the message of wellness. You know, and I think that's part of the problem. You know,
it definitely is, and I think that's something that's getting better over time. Like, I don't know if there's like instant fix to that, but like as more people like yourself start practicing medicine, like they just. I don't know, are from a different generation. An easy way to say it. Like, I don't know. It's just, it seems like, and like I said, I don't know what kind of nutrition and like you go through in medical school. Like, God forbid you went through in medical school like 30 years ago.
Right.
And like you're still practicing today. And I don't know the details about any of it.
Sure.
But I don't remember hearing anything about mindfulness or diet, like going to the doctor growing up. And like, I don't know.
I think that's really, really important.
What do you think the fix is to that?
I mean, I think it's really important that you highlighted on that. I think, medical schools across the nation really have taken a look at themselves and been like, how much nutrition do we actually teach in medical school? So you're right. 2 decades ago, even maybe a decade ago, there was probably no nutrition involved in medical school at all. We do include, there is like some sort of training in nutrition, like whether that be like a few lectures, whether that be a few discussions. It is a part of it. It's probably not a part of it enough. Right. I don't think it's ever going to be enough because it is such a huge part of, especially if you end up doing primary care or any things stem, like even, a lot of things that stem from medicine, like cardiology, gastroenterology, like they're all related to how you, most diseases are related to how you eat and how, like it's really something that is not well studied. It's not really something we really understand. The latest of research that is being underway, which I'm not too familiar with anymore because I've been kind of removed from it, but is cancer patients with their diet. That's a really common trend of a lot of studies that were going on. I think it was around probably back my first year, so a few years ago, where they were looking at like how people were dieting while they were undergoing chemotherapy, trying to see like if there were any differences in outcomes, like reduction of, like saturated fats, or maybe like DASH diet, which is like the like vegetables and decreased sodium and that kind of aspect. So there's definitely a discussion being made throughout medical schools, and I think wellness and mindfulness is definitely something that I think we do better than maybe teaching nutrition. I think, at least, I can't speak for anyone who goes to medical school across the nation because I only go to Upstate, but I think they do a good job trying to make sure that you are mindful of your health and mindful of other people's health, and you're carrying that, because I think that's also important. Like, how can you teach mindfulness if you don't even get it yourself or preach it yourself or do it yourself rather? And the only other thing I can say on that too is I think going forward, I think we're going to start seeing more and more focus on mental health and mindfulness. And I think because I think it's plays such a large role into future physicians, but just so many people in this community and so many people in all the communities across the nation and the world,
Yeah. Well, we're talking about the two different things, but they're so intertwined. Like, if you're mentally well, you're going to have a lot easier time, like, making the right diet decisions. And, like, going and exercising. And, like, it's just perpetuates itself.
Like it does. It absolutely does.
I don't know. It's definitely is important. I don't know if it's, like, I mentioned, like, going to a general physician or, like, family physician. I don't know if it's fair to be like, hey doc, you got to tell me about nutrition, mindfulness, and like know about all my arteries and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's a lot.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
So I don't want it to seem like unfair, like on physicians and stuff.
Right.
Like we do have like nutritionists and dietitians. I don't know how credible those things are.
Sure.
To be honest with you, is there any kind of like wellness expert
out
out there, like psychology or psychologist?
I mean, I imagine there probably is. I'm not too familiar with what the role might be. Whether that is a social worker or some sort of psychologist, or maybe even there might be different practices operate differently. So they might some people might have nurse practitioners that do a lot of talking about nutrition and wellness. But I'm glad that you brought that up, because that is a great point. I mean, family physicians, primary care physicians work hard. Yeah. They have a lot of things that we're responsible for, and a lot of them aren't even medical. A lot of them are coordinating care in some way, shape, or form to make sure things get addressed, make sure things don't get slipped under the rug, and so adding more to their burden is really a lot, and I think, I also don't know, because again, I'm not in a role where I have my own practice, where I have this coordination of care. Maybe nutritionists are underutilized. Maybe they're not utilized. Maybe there's not enough of them. I'm not sure of the logistics of why. But that's a good point. There's definitely a need for that.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting if like your average like family medical practice also had was mandatory maybe for them to have a nutritionist and for them to have like a psychologist or whatever. Yeah. Clinical psychologist. I know there's psychiatrist. I know there's a bunch of different titles, but like somebody in that field to like the complete care family package. I don't know. That's interesting.
You are seeing that. You do see that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Okay. It's definitely No. Well, why would you know? No.
There were other people that were smarter than me that figured it out first.
I actually worked in Buffalo for Buffalo Medical Group, which is a massive medical group out in Buffalo. I worked as a medical assistant there, so I saw a lot of the transition into using registered dietitians or nutritionists. Pharmacists are playing a lot more of a role in outpatient care. You're seeing them play a role in diabetes management, diabetes counseling, because that's another disease that it takes a lot of counseling, whether it's someone who's getting started on insulin for the first time as like a 75-year-old, like that's something that can be really stressful and something that can be really overwhelming, for anyone, let alone someone who's in an elderly population. So I think pharmacists are going to start to assume more roles, and that's just how I've at least seen, this transition. I don't know how much you know about all of healthcare, but pharmacy is actually now having residencies for being involved in clinical pharmacy, for being involved in hospital care. Yeah, you're seeing a lot more of pharmacists coming involved with hospital work, as opposed to, prior. I mean, they've always been involved in clinical care, but you're seeing it more so. Okay. And you're seeing advanced training, I should say, as well, which is something that you didn't see a few decades ago. It was more rare. So I have a lot of friends that are in pharmacy school, so I know this. Yeah.
How do you think that plays out?
So I think it's well, I think so. I'm aspiring MD, so I think clinical medicine is interesting. I didn't
even ask. What do you want to do?
Yeah,
what kind of medicine do you want to be in?
That's a really great question, and I'll let you know when I figure it out.
Yeah, all right. Sorry, I won't push on that.
Yeah, I gotta decide in a very short time, and it's So, and I don't know who will be listening, so I don't want to.
Dude, let me tell you right now.
Yeah,
you are the first guest. This is the 6th podcast right now.
Yeah.
You're the first guest that's not my girlfriend or my brother.
All right.
There's nobody listening to this right now.
All right, great.
I can't guarantee you in like a year. I don't know, but like.
Well, see, if I say a specialty now and then I change my mind,
look what you did.
Just look like a jackass. And if I have any mentors that ever listen to it, they'd be like, "Oh my God, how dare you say that you wanted to do that specialty in front of my face?"
Unbelievable.
So
despicable.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see. I think I will say I've always wanted to work with my hands in some way, shape, or form, but I love seeing people, and I think I've realized in medical school that there's different avenues to make a difference in people's lives, and it doesn't always have to be, I always thought I came to medical school because of primary care. That's really what drove my motivation to want to go to medical school, and I think I still think of myself in that way, in that way, shape, or form of that kind of relationship that I want to have with patients. But I've also kind of learned through going through all my, like I said, I did all my primary care fields. I'm on neurology right now. I'm actually doing a week in ophthalmology. And I see that you can do that in so many different fields. Right. And there's so many ways to help people, and there's so many ways to, you know, do what you love. And for me, it's just interacting with people. So, you know, I don't need to necessarily, you know, make the, you know, best. I don't need to be the best surgeon alive, right. But I do really matter. It does really matter to me, rather, how I interact with someone and what the impact is of that interaction for the next few minutes, the next few hours. Like, did they think of that interaction as positive? Did they think of it as negative? And I think, you know, working to that, improving that, and being better, I think really goes a long way, especially in healthcare, you know, because sometimes you only get a few minutes with your patients. Yeah. And that's like, high stakes. So, you know, so that's my 2 cents.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's great. It's a wild field to go into. Like, you just talk about having somebody's life in your hand for like a few minutes. It's like, whew. Yeah. Man.
There's a lot of stressful things.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. And it's funny. I know plenty of people in the medical world, and I don't know too much about it, but
sure.
Some of the things that I hear, and it's really interesting. It's really interesting. Yeah. There's one space I'm not familiar with at all.
Yeah, you know, and I think, you know, to be fair, you know, I'm not familiar with it either. You know, I'm going through this all by myself. You know, I got my friends, and, you know, my family supports me, but, you know, I didn't have anyone in healthcare in any way, shape, or form. You know, my grandma was a nurse practitioner for Pediatric Associates, which is a pediatric office. Okay. She was an RN for years. But, you know, outside of that, she passed away like a few years ago. So she was, you know, we didn't really have that relationship of where my training was advanced enough to have some sort of, you know, mentorship at all, because I was a kid, you know. So, you know, I've kind of gone through most of this just kind of on my own and just kind of trying to figure it out. And luckily, you know, I have, my family's great. Like, they're supportive of, you know, they trust that I'll make right decisions. But you know, it's definitely difficult to, you know, and that's for anyone who ever is aspiring to do anything in healthcare. You know, I think it's possible. It's definitely, you know, and we were talking about earlier, when I talk about these things with high school students, you know, you don't need to be the smartest person in high school. I definitely wasn't. You know, I wasn't top 10. I wasn't top 20. But I think work ethic goes a really, really long way. Oh, yeah. And, you know, and I think having a thirst for just information, you know, which kind of sums up kind of a lot what we've been talking about. Just like, you
absolutely.
know, learning about nutrition. It's, I think it really goes a long way. And I think really people maybe underestimate themselves, maybe underestimate, you know, what it takes to do certain things. But I think, you know, we are as a species, for the most part, are capable of rising to challenges that we set up, you know. And I think that's kind of what has driven me to just kind of keep plugging along, you know. So we'll see. That's sweet.
You didn't get knocked around enough playing hockey to
screw up your brains a few times, a few concussions. But
did you?
Yeah, I had one.
Oh man. Yeah. How do you view concussions now? Like, being in med school.
What do you mean?
Do you have a different perspective on concussions and like the damage it really does, like with all this research coming out?
I'm not a neurologist, so
fair. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, I think I wouldn't say my perspective has changed. You know, I wouldn't. I think hockey for me and music, you know, I was a big music guy too. Okay. Both of those definitely played a role in shaping the type of physician I am, for sure. You know, just maybe by work ethic, maybe by discipline. You know, but both of those things were, you know. So I can't, looking back, I would never be like, oh, I wish I didn't play hockey because I got that one concussion. Because it definitely shaped exactly who I am.
Yeah, now, absolutely.
You know? And I still play hockey every once in a while. So.
Do you? Men's league?
Yeah, out in Beeville. Yeah.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if you play with my brother. Do you play with
Sturgeons? It
says sorry on the jersey, like SORREY, like Canadian sorry.
No. Who does he play for?
Well, that's what they have on the jersey. I don't know. They play on Monday nights. I think it's sometimes Sundays, but it's in Beeville at Lysander.
Oh, well, maybe I'll look. Do you know? Does he work for like a company or something?
Chris Timmons is my buddy. I actually played club with him at Oswego.
No, I'll look out for them.
What night do you play?
Once in a while.
Or?
Once in a while. Okay. Yeah. So we have a upstate team with like a few scattered non-upstate people, but you know, with medical students, residents, it's really cool. Yeah, our goalie is the neurosurgeon, one of the head neurosurgeons at Kraus.
Is the smartest hockey team of all time.
Yeah, it's we're big brainiacs. Yeah, we got some players though. Let me tell you,
if you guys like went head to head on like Family Feud or like Jeopardy or something, with, we got the Boston Bruins, you'd smoke them.
We got some brainiacs up there. Yeah. We got, you know, a few of my buddies are the smartest motherfuckers that I've ever met, and they're just dirty at hockey. And I'm just like, guys, come on. Like, I'm just trying to have a beer beforehand, just play some puck. But no, one of the guys went to UP with me, and he's aspiring to do neurosurgery, so he's gonna. You know, he's a good puck. He's good with the puck, and there's another guy too that they're both very good. Yeah, and it just makes me look like old and fat, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta go.
So you played on the team. Camillus had the head on it.
Cougars,
Cougars. That's right.
Yeah.
Did you guys? I remember because we were in the same section, Binghamton Senators, for like the travel league, right?
Yep.
Did you guys have like 2 teams at one point?
Yeah, we've over the years we had like 2 teams. Sometimes I think there were 3 teams at one point too when we were kids.
We have definitely played each other. We have definitely been on the ice before.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah. You could probably find pictures. There's probably like a sectionals tournament or whatever they called it down there. They called it like Jam or something, right? I think that's what they called it. Playoffs. Jam. I think. Remember. Yeah. Yeah, it probably happened. I mean, if you played Bantam travel, Pee Wee travel, like all that stuff, I did. Yeah. So we definitely played against. We were the same year, so we definitely would have played against each other. Crazy, man.
That is wild.
You guys were good.
Such a small world.
You guys were good.
We were good some years and some not.
Right.
So much.
Right. Yeah.
Well, like any other team.
Like
right?
any other team.
You know, it's like every other year, something like that. You catch the right kids.
That's right. Yeah.
That was so much fun though.
It was, man.
Did learn a lot from that.
Yeah,
hockey.
you do. Yeah.
Teaches you so much about life.
It does.
It's crazy.
You know? Yeah, how lucky both of us are that our parents allowed us to do such like
play travel hockey.
Yeah,
that shit is
like
expensive.
It is. Yeah, seriously, it really is. You know, and like what a fortunate thing to be able to do. You know, and talk about talent to just be able to skate. You know, like most people that have never skated before, would seeing them get on the ice is pathetic.
Hilarious.
You know,
absolutely hilarious.
And it's like riding a bike for us.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. So
party tricks.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I can't believe your friend is playing pro.
Yeah.
That is nuts,
yeah,
dude.
Robbie. Congrats, buddy.
What's his name?
Robbie Michael. Michael. Yeah.
Michel, right?
Yes.
No way.
Michel.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. That is.
Yep.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Did he play with you on Camillus?
Yeah. No, actually, no. He played Stars. Yeah.
Oh, he played
Stars.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No. We went to East Hill together. We were buddies. We were I think in the first grade together, and we had to like do some. I don't know. He probably like bitched me out for not remembering this, but it was like we had to like do some project together, and like our dads did it because we were like 6? Like, are you kidding me? Like, you know, like questionable like at best of like what talent we had, but yeah, we just became really good friends, and we stayed friends for a long time, and now we're both doing well, and it's
That's
crazy.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Dude, I will never forget. Must have been 12 because I think it was after last year at Pee Wee's when I came up here for a skate at Cicero. It was 2 sessions. It was this like Olympic development tryout thing.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of the guy on the ice. Was it? Tuck. Alex Tuck.
Oh, Beetle guy?
Yeah. He was on the ice.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember being on the bench, watching him take the puck up the far wing in Cicero and being like, yo, does he have like different skates on? Like, this guy is cheating.
Yeah.
This guy is cheating.
Yeah. He was good.
Holy shit.
He is good, rather, I should say. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
And now playing pro.
That's wild.
Went to Stanley Cup Finals last year.
He did. Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. I know. Yeah, there's been some good players to come through, and that's the funny thing about hockey. I always try to explain it to people that don't really get it. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to get to where, especially like, I mean, like I was telling you earlier, like Robbie had to do 2 years of junior Senators up in Ottawa, and then 4 years of college, and now he's playing for AHL, which is amazing. But it's a lot.
Yeah, and that's when it works out too. Like,
right,
dude. I played club at Oswego.
Okay, yeah.
And there were guys there that joined the team as 21-year-old freshmen. They played 2 years of juniors and didn't get shit from it.
Yeah,
like they just didn't have it.
Yeah,
like this. It's not for lack of trying.
Yeah,
like dude.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then you're 2 years behind, bunch of more money in debt. Like,
yeah.
I mean, well, probably help from your parents on that, but like, still, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. Go away, live with a billet family, like.
Yeah. And it's life.
That's a completely different course of life, and it's wild how it's so much different than like wrestling, or baseball.
Yeah.
Like,
why?
What?
Why? And to anyone who is listening to this who doesn't play hockey, it really is. It's so interesting to see how different it is. Like you can walk off of high school and get like a lacrosse scholarship in Central New York, a baseball scholarship,
D3,
and done. But it's not going to happen for hockey. No. It might, maybe. There's probably, but like I haven't heard of anyone.
Like, never. Maybe, but like nah.
Yeah. So
instead of getting, a nice scholarship right out of school, you got to spend $40,000 and 2 years away from home.
Yeah.
In Canada, most likely, if you want a shot at a good school.
Yeah.
Just to have a shot.
Yeah.
Just have a shot.
Right.
Like,
I'd hopefully playing, a lot of these guys too, like I won't speak for them, but a lot of them, hope that they get D3, and then, it's like, a lot of I don't know the logistics of it. You might know it better than myself, but I know a lot of D3 programs. I don't think even give you full scholarships anymore, or I don't think it works that way anymore.
They don't in Oswego.
Yeah.
I mean, being a SUNY, but I don't know about other ones.
Yeah.
It's just
so it's a lot. It's a lot.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. You probably grow a lot from that experience, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, getting shipped off to live with some other family and be with a bunch of other boys you don't really know.
Sure.
Like, that are all getting shipped off, too.
Yeah.
And, like, being on a college campus of only 20 people.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's, yeah.
That's got to be quite a transformative experience. Yeah. I don't know about you. Like, I was an idiot out of high school and, like, went away to school and, like, I partied a good amount.
Sure.
And I kind of, like, was like, whoa, all right. Yeah. It's got to be a real human here.
Yeah.
Like, push the limits, when
I was, yeah.
But you grow so much.
You do. Yeah.
You grow so much.
Yeah. I was a little bit more reckless in my high school years, I should say.
Yeah.
By college, I'd simmered down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. My parents would be, if they were to hear this, they'd be like, yeah, that's accurate.
That's,
Yeah.
I was like semi-obedient in high school. Like
semi-obedient.
I didn't quite get it out yet.
Sure. Yeah.
Like freshman year was still a train wreck for me.
Got it.
And the first couple months of sophomore year, and then I was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah. That's
done.
Appropriately so. Yeah. And now it's like, bed by 9 sounds great.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Oh, especially working so many hours and like,
right.
Dude.
Yeah.
But you know what has always made me like stir, and I could see it even when I was in high school. The people who went to high school and their parents like kept them in this little fucking bubble.
Sure.
And then they went off to college and they exploded.
Yeah.
Like
you
just pull that rubber band back so far while they're growing up and you're not letting them do anything.
Yeah.
And then boop, and it's bing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I
know some people who went off the rails.
Yeah, I know.
Off the rails.
Yeah. I know people that, like went off the rails. I know people that, were really, really like put together people, in whatever exterior form, they presented themselves as, but they got to college and it was like, holy shit, like what happened?
Yeah.
And then I know other people too, where maybe they were on the trajectory for that anyways, and maybe had like, parentals who were like being, the same way you described, over comforting them and saying like, no, we don't want you to be this way. And so
no exposure to any of that
shit. Yeah. So, I mean, I think, I never had a drink of alcohol before the age of 21, but if I did, I think, if I did, I think it would have helped, being more real about like what life is. And I think just having like early exposures, in my opinion, I think it's like desensitization almost.
Completely.
In a way,
Completely.
It's
you eliminate that curiosity. One thing I'm really thankful for growing up is my dad always hunted. And I shot a bow and arrow when I was real young.
Sure.
I shot guns when I was pretty young.
Like
my dad kept them locked away and stuff and like all that, but it was here, we're gonna go explore this thing together. You're gonna see what it is, we're gonna see what it's about, we're gonna remove that curiosity. So you're not like searching for the keys to get in the gun cabinet so you can explore for yourself.
Sure.
Like, it's just healthy exposure.
It is.
Isn't that how vaccines work?
Yeah.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
You get exposed to the disease a little bit, and then you're better off for it.
In some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
That's my gross generalization.
We won't do our vaccine plug today, but I don't want to step on too many toes. Yeah. But nonetheless, no, it's really, really, I'm not a parent.
Yeah.
I have no idea how difficult parenting could be.
No fucking clue.
But I will say, I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's something that is just unfortunate. And then I think you do see the other thing where people, are really, really removed from all of it in high school, whether it's their own decisions or whether it's from their parents, and and then they don't have that curiosity, and then or maybe they do, and then they experiment a little bit with whatever that be, like alcohol, any sort of substances, and it doesn't affect anything. They're like, oh, okay, like that's what that is, and then they just keep functioning. So I think for me, there was definitely no curiosity by the time college came around.
I eliminated all that stuff.
I was pretty I think by the time college came around, I was pretty focused on just trying to put myself in the best position to get into some sort of career or graduate school or whatever. At that point, when I started, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Like,
I bet.
Yeah, I was not. Most of us don't.
No.
I actually transferred. I didn't start at UB. I started at there's
Where'd
more to St. John's University in Queens.
Okay.
Basketball. Red Storm. I was there. I was going to be a physician assistant. So speaking of when I was telling you earlier about my story about I did not always know I wanted to be a doctor. I thought about doing pharmacy for a little bit, thought about and kind of entertained the idea of doing physician assistant. Like I said, nursing was even something I thought about for part of my college career. But I ended up, I was going to be a physician assistant. I was in a physician assistant program right out of high school at St. John's. I moved to New York City. That was my first semester of college. And then I quickly realized I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was not ready to be a physician assistant. I did not even know what that really meant. I shadowed like a PA like twice.
Yeah.
I was 18. I figured like, oh, this would be good. This would be a good career.
Check it out.
Yeah. And then I was kind of there and I was like, all right, like I still like science, but you're like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I don't know what a PA does, like actually, like, do I even want to be in healthcare, and so I made a decision, a smart decision at best, to transfer and save some money. And I ended up going to UB and saved a lot of money. Yeah. And, it worked out so far. So, so it was one of probably the most difficult transitions though. It's
really,
no one likes being a I don't know if you know anyone who's a transfer, but being a transfer student's difficult. Transferring
just to meet
halfway
people,
through
like,
it's difficult to meet people. I luckily had some friends at Buffalo already at baseline. My roommates were my friend Chris, who's now in the Navy, was at that time the first person I met at UB. We were just like, we're getting food, and my friend Jenna, who was also from this area, was getting dinner, and she was like, oh, like come like get dinner. I know it's like it was like school classes hadn't even started yet. I'd like just moved in. It was like after January break, and so we went and got dinner, and then like she was like, oh, this is my friend Chris, and then we just started talking, and we had a lot in common, and then we just became best friends, and then we ended up living together for years after that. And I later then ended up meeting one of his friends, Lewis, and now he's one of my best friends as well. And then our other friend Ryan, and we all just became really, really tight. I was just in New York a few weekends ago, and then Lewis just got engaged last weekend. So it's been we've all been close buddies. So my point being was that I was lucky that I had close friends at the school,
right?
But it was definitely a transition. A lot of my friends that I met at St. John's, I still do talk to, because there's nothing like freshman year, like that first encounter, making friends.
100%.
So I have a friend who's a PA, believe it or not, because of the
he stuck it out.
And she actually and she is now in the Air Force. She does the reserves, and she's thinking about going to medical school after all that.
Damn.
Yeah, so we've been chatting a lot, and I've been giving her my 2 cents about the process. I think she's taking physics right now, so we'll see. I think, like I said, it's so hard to know, and that's kind of like to harp on that. It's so hard to know what you want to do when you're young. It really is.
To make that decision, and you're like, when you're still most people. Well, in my case, an idiot.
Yeah.
Like,
well, aren't we all?
Not that I'm not an idiot now.
Yeah.
But,
no. But aren't we all? Like, you know, I mean, I'm still like you just
18.
Yeah.
Like what?
18. You know, and it doesn't get easier. I mean, you just asked me what, like 5 minutes ago, what I wanted to do, and I'm like, you know. So it's
well,
I've had
narrowing it down at least.
Yeah, a little bit. I've had 7 years to narrow it down. You think I'd have it down by now, but. It's I think it's we do put a lot of emphasis, especially as a society, on like you need to do this second, and it's not always you know the best avenue for most people.
Yeah, it's tough.
So
it's just the way the system's set up.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You got to do something though.
You do. It's important to it's important to do something.
Be in some discipline. All right, I don't want to keep you here hostage all night.
Yeah,
but hit me with some of the best places in Syracuse.
Yeah.
You've investigated thus far.
Okay.
And then you'll get out of here.
Yeah. So, so for me, you know, like we'll start like it's easy to go systematically. So for, like I said, so beer and burgers, like, cheap. If anyone who isn't from here, Blarney Stone is one of the best places to hit up for a cheap burger and cheap beer.
I've heard great things.
Yeah.
I've had their beer, not their burgers though.
Yeah. You got to get a burger there.
All right, done.
So that's cheap and easy, good food, good time, good atmosphere, done. Beer, a little bit more expensive, but more craft beer, more, you know, would be HopSpot or Evergreen. You know, those are two of my favorite spots. Same token, a little bit more less known rather, I should say, you know, a little bit more, I guess trendy you could use is Mellow Velo Cafe. Okay. They're a bike shop that transitioned into a cafe. I don't know if you've been there before, but it's, you know, they serve good food. They got great beer on tap. Okay. It's a cool spot. You know, it's not like a going out spot, but
it's wild. How many other places that are a bike shop and also a restaurant?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's kind of weird.
It is weird.
It's cool though.
It's
Ironically enough, I sat down there one time for lunch and didn't end up eating there, but it was like one of those things. We sat down. We were both just gonna get coffee because we just wanted coffee. And we ended up going to a coffee shop.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's like I'm not really hungry. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Another time though.
Yeah. No, so that's a cool spot. And then, you know, I guess like one of the next people always ask for Italian food. You know, I would not put down, you know, the staples of Syracuse being like pastas and Francesca's. Like they both, you know, make excellent entrees and it's a great experience. Francesca's Patio is a great date spot. You know, it's one of my favorite spots to go on dates. Amano Kitchen and Bar is one of my favorite restaurants for Italian food in Syracuse. Amano, it's owned by a local Syracusean. And it's a great restaurant. I have not had a bad meal there at all, and I really do enjoy being there. And I know that he cares a lot about his craft, and I think it's an excellent experience for anyone. It's a great date spot. It's a great spot. They have usually good beers on tap too. You know, so that's you know, a place that I usually keep on my list for recommendations for people that are trying to stray from the path a little bit.
Deal.
New restaurants that, you know, have kind of popped up that are, you know, more of an experience that I've been to, you know, one or two times, you know, but they're not places that I typically tend to take people to because they're maybe, you know, a little bit on the higher end side, but you know, I think it's important for people to know, like Defi downtown, Defi Cuisine Court. It's an experience. You know, you can go there and say, you know, I want to have a 3-course meal with like wine pairings, and they'll tell you how much that's going to be. And, you know, it's like reasonable for what it is, but it's an experience. Like they are good at what they do. Right. It's like a very,
it's like, not the Blarney stuff.
Yeah, no, it's not Blarney. Right. And I think that's what's important for people to know.
What you're looking for.
Yeah. Right? It's like, if that's what you want, then go there. But if that's not what you're in the mood for that night, then don't go there. You know, because sometimes
everybody covered.
Yeah, because sometimes you just want to go to Blarney, you know, and like I get that, you know, and I'm not a food expert by any means. I mean, I try to be, but you know, I know I know what I like, and I know what tastes good, and I know what's presented well, and I know what good service is, like most people, you know, and I've been to so many different restaurants, and I've tried so many different types of foods, and I have no limitations on what I eat. Like I pretty much will eat or try anything. And so I know when things are done well. I know when things are presented well, and when the service is good, or when the food's good, when it tastes good, when, you know, and I've been able to kind of like culminate like a taste for all of that. I will say that, you know, like there are restaurants that I think get bad reps in Syracuse for whatever reason, whether that be through like things like Yelp or things through word of mouth, you know, but I think there are...
Are you a Yelp guy?
Not really. I mean, like
You're not a righteous Yelper.
No, I'm not. I have posted a few pictures on Yelp when this first started a few years ago. And that was for, only, the beginning of it. I haven't done it in a while. And I will check Yelp for pictures, but I don't really read reviews.
Okay.
Because, you got to take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
People love to bitch about shit.
Yeah. And I know a lot of business owners who, there's more to the Yelp thing that I won't dive into, but there's definitely more to it. So back to favorite restaurants. So Cider Mill, great restaurant. If you haven't been there yet, it's not too far from here. It's on like the west side of Syracuse.
Right.
Owned by another local guy. Actually his daughters went to high school with me, and they just do a fantastic job. Everything they do, they change the menu like 4 times a year. It's
really?
just everything.
Seasonal?
Everything there is fantastic.
I've heard of that place, but I haven't been.
Yeah, it's great. Some of the I tend to I'll go out a little bit of the ways for good food. So some of credit where credit's due, right? So some of the places like I personally there's this place out in Manlius. I think it's called Scenic Route. It's headed right towards the village of Manlius. It hasn't been there too long, but I think the food's excellent. I think they do a great job. I posted a handful of times, maybe like 5 or 6 from there. I take my parents there a lot, even though they live in Camillus. It's a far drive for them, but they like the food there too, and it's affordable, and it's a good menu, and they change it up every once in a while. They got great specials. And Brewster Inn in Casanova is one of my favorite restaurants in Central New York in general. It's a little bit of a drive, we're talking like 25-30 minutes, but it's excellent. They know what to do, and they do a great job. And I think, and I don't want to, keep the rant going too long, but I think there's this, no, but it's true. There's it's true. There's these really, really hidden gems in Central New York. That's in Casanova. I was just at Kindred Fair in Geneva. I don't know if you've ever been to Geneva or how much you know about Geneva, but
been to the rinks, baby.
That's right. That's right. Oh man, that was an outdoor one when we were growing up.
Had the big glass.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes. Yeah. Oh man, memories.
It's wild. Absolutely wild.
So there is great food in Geneva. It's I went to Kindred Fair just about a week ago, and I've been there. This is the second time I've been there, and it's one of my favorite restaurants in this Central New York area. It's obviously a little bit further of a drive, but they do a really, really good job, and I think they should be highlighted for that, because I think they're a really great restaurant. And
I'm glad you just gave them all this exposure for all the people who are gonna be listening to this podcast. My friend.
But it's
no,
it's definitely no. I mean, it's I think it's really it's funny for me to see this transition of like what I now know as like a good meal,
right?
Versus because I'm not snooty when it comes to food by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't discredit a place like HopSpot for being more pub maybe related, because what they do a great job at. They make great burgers, they have great appetizers, they have great beer on tap, and I wouldn't pair it against like what I was just talking about Amano, because they're completely different experiences. And I think it's important to kind of at least stray from the path every once in a while, just kind of see, because you can surprise yourself. And Kindred Fair is one of those places that I think they do a really good job of like just making good entrees and really outsourcing local farms, and just
that's the move.
keeping things within the realm. So nonetheless,
deal. All right, man, we'll wrap this up. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, of course.
Upstate Hungry on Instagram, right?
Yeah, that's right. Upstate Hungry.
All right.